lot of us have childhood memories of going to grandma's house, walking in the door, and smelling something that just makes us very happy. For me, it was the pasta sauce that was being cooked, because I knew that Sunday dinner was going to happen, and it was going to be full of good food and good times. Today we're going to not make that sauce. That sauce is very complicated, takes a long time, and today we're going to do something that's better than this, but not quite as complicated as grandma's pasta sauce. Let's go ahead and start with what we're going to use to cook this in. So we're going to use a 4-quart saute pan or saucepan, using one with a lot of surface on the bottom. So we're going to saute some of the vegetables before we start. And I'm going to want to have a lid, at least for some of the time. We'll need a spatula to just move things around, and of course a tasting spoon, which we'll always use to make sure that our flavors are in line. So to go ahead and cook this, you have a choice of oil you can use to cook the pan, or you could even use butter if you wanted to. I'm going to use regular olive oil, not the good olive oil, just regular olive oil, because anytime you cook in a pan, you're going to heat it up, and it kind of destroys some of the taste of extra virgin olive oil, and it's really just a waste of money to use it. So we're going to just use standard olive oil. We're going to have some Italian seasoning, a little bit of pepper flakes, an onion, a couple of cloves of garlic. Garlic, you can put in as much or as little garlic as you like. I have some bay leaves in here, which we'll use a bay leaf for this. And then we're going to use, here's where this gets a little bit different than maybe doing this kind of an expensive way. We're going to use canned tomatoes. Now you can get canned tomatoes that are very expensive. You can get canned tomatoes that are inexpensive. We're going to lean towards the more inexpensive side, and we're going to use 3 15-ounce cans of tomato sauce. You could use crushed tomatoes, which makes it a little more chunky, or you can use tomato sauce, which will make this more marinara kind of thing, which is what we're going after. So 3 cans of tomato sauce, and we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and start with prepping our vegetables. We're going to use 1 onion. This is a medium-sized onion. If it's a big, huge onion, I would probably use half an onion, but again, you can use as much onion as you want. Prep this, I'm just going to go ahead and chop the end off of it and cut this in half. Take our skin off. Sometimes it will be nice and sometimes it won't. This one doesn't look like it's being too nice. Okay, so there's half our onion. We'll get our other half ready to go. Okay, so we have the onion ready. I'm going to go ahead and make slices towards the core. You want to leave the core of the onion on. It will go ahead and make sure it doesn't fall apart while you're cutting it. I'm just going to do this in a chop, so nothing really small. It doesn't need to be. And we'll just go once inside. Be careful here. Kind of point the knife going down so you don't, make sure you don't cut yourself. And we'll just go ahead and do this in about a 1/4 inch chop. Okay, that's our, and we'll do the same for both sides of the onion. Sure you get your fingers out of the way. Don't need any band-aids. And that's good enough. That's probably 3/4 of a cup of onions. But again, if you're not an onion fan, you're going to want to use something. You can use shallots, they're not quite as strong maybe, or leave them out if you really want to. Got 2 cloves of garlic. I got to take the skins off and give them a little whack with the side of my knife. These we want to have 2, we're going to use 2 cloves. We're going to kind of just chop them fairly finely. Again, it depends on what you like. I'm just going to give them a little quick chop. I don't mind if they're bigger than a little bit. It's going to cook for a while, so the big onion flavor, big garlic flavor is going to be tamed down quite a bit. So we're ready to go. And use our board scraper to kind of harness this stuff up. Got our garlic ready to go, and our onions ready to go. So now we're going to go ahead and start our saute process. Okay, we're ready to start. I have our pan on our little hot plate here. We're going to use our regular olive oil, about a tablespoon, maybe 2 teaspoons. And we're going to start with our onions that we chopped. Let's get out of there. So we have our, what ends up about 3/4 cup of onions. We'll go ahead and get those going. Now we're not looking for really a big saute here. We're looking more of a sweat. All right, so we'll get our onions going. We're going to add a little bit of salt in there, not a whole lot. Just to help get the moisture out of the onion as it cooks. This is on, I'm going to just put it on kind of medium heat here. I'm not looking to brown, I'm just kind of looking to soften. I haven't put the garlic in yet because garlic's going to take a lot less time to get aromatic. So if you put it in the same time as your onions, you're just going to burn your garlic, and that's no good. Okay, our onions have softened up. We'll go ahead and add the garlic. This is only going to be about 30 seconds. We're going to get, before we put this in, I want to make sure that I have our can opener ready to go, because we're going to want to not leave that cooking for too long before we get some added moisture in there to stop the garlic from getting too brown. So we'll go ahead and put our 2 cloves of garlic in there. Give it a little stir. Looking to go ahead and just smell the garlic, make it aromatic. It really only takes about 30 seconds. Any further than that, and you're going to start to brown it. Again, not what we want to do. Let's get our first can going. Again, these are 15-ounce tomato sauce. You can use crushed tomatoes. I wouldn't use whole tomatoes. And we'll go ahead and put our first can of sauce in there. We're also going to go ahead and make addition of, this is about 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. If you want to use a seasoning of your choice, you can. I don't mind the mixed Italian seasoning, I think it's fine. So we'll go ahead and put our tablespoon in there. We have 1 bay leaf we'll throw in there, and I'm going to put just a little bit of red pepper flake in there to give it a little more interest. Okay. Once that's going, we're going to go ahead and put our second can of tomato in there. Let me get the can opener to work. I'm also going to turn down the heat more to a little, like medium low. Our second can in. And our third can. One thing you can do with this tomato sauce, because anytime you use cans of tomato, you just don't get all the tomato out of the can. So there's a fair amount left in there. It's an opportunity to add a little additional flavor. And what I have here is just some red wine that I had left over from the other day. I'm going to put about half a cup in there in one of the cans. Give it a swirl to try to capture any of that leftover tomato goodness that's in there. Then I'm just going to pour it into the next one. And we're going to do the same thing, kind of swirl it around. Try to capture the tomatoes that's in there, and the third one. And this way you get all the tomato out of your cans, and you get to introduce a little more flavor in some red wine. Okay, so we got in there, a little piece of paper in there. Alright, so we'll go ahead and stir in our tomato sauce and onions. We're going to let this come to a boil, or just a simmer, not a boil, and then turn it down to a very low simmer. Put our lid on it, and we'll go from there. But before we do that, we have to taste for salt. Now, we haven't added any more salt since we did our onions initially. The canned tomato product is going to have salt in it. So you're going to want to taste this to see how much salt is needed. Let's go ahead and give it a go. I know it's cold, it'll be okay. Okay, so that could use a little more salt. Not a whole lot though. Maybe about, I don't know, a couple of dashes. That might amount to a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to go ahead and add pepper. Here's my handy dandy pepper mill. We'll go ahead and put some pepper in there. As much as please. Stir that all in. And at this point, this sauce is pretty much done. And it's cooking. And it's putting together. There's no additional ingredients that are going to go in here. So this sauce is completely vegan at this point. It is has no meat in it. Now, a lot of times with this, I am going to add something to this. You have your options here. You could add ground beef, which you could do when you're cooking your onions. You could brown the ground beef at that point. You could add any sort of sausage, anything you have in the refrigerator that's already cooked. Say that you have meatloaf or chicken or ground turkey. I mean, and your protein is really up to you. If you want to add a protein or what you want to do or what protein you want to add. This sauce right now will do very well over pasta. This sauce will do very well as pizza sauce. And it will do any number of things that require a red sauce. So if you have some sort of mozzarella sticks or something like that you've made or you have and you want to have something to dip them in, this sauce will work very, very well for that. The one thing you want to make sure you do, and really anytime you use a canned tomato product, it needs to simmer for a while, because the cans will leave kind of a metallic taste to the tomatoes until they're cooked. I'm going to let this go for at least 2 hours at a low simmer, and that should really cook the canned taste out of the tomatoes. And then we'll be good. We'll have a nice marinara sauce that can be used for any number of things, ready to have a protein added to it at any time if you wanted to. This is about 2 quarts of sauce that are in there. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of put some of it away and freeze it. It freezes very nicely, so it can be used at another time. So this is more than one meal for sure. You could probably make 3 meals out of this. If you're doing just pasta with the sauce, you could make 4 pizzas with this sauce. I mean, whatever you want to do is really up to you with this kind of sauce. So that's pretty much our red marinara sauce. The kind of thing that non-grandma would make. She would make something that's much more involved in this. And it's not something that comes in a can that somebody else made that has all kinds of strange things in there like sugar and soybean oil and things like that. So it's something that you can make. It's very easy to do. It only has about 5 ingredients. So I hope you find this recipe something that you can try and use for your almost everyday cooking if you want. And again, this is Pat from Calm Sea Cooks. And please go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll talk to you in our next recipe.